Hi guys, we have another week down in this uncertain environment that we're in. What I do know is that we are certainly preparing for all of the unexpected incidences that bring our child protection work into a completely different dimension. We are up to about 71% of us teleworking. The level designations went out this week, and let me just say a little bit to clarify what those are. First of all, there were a few glitches with the HR letters that went out, and so those will be corrected over the weekend and you will have the appropriate level designation. But let me step you through the 5 designations of DCF employees, the 5 designations that DCF employees can find themselves in. So level 1 has 2 designations. That would be level 1 constant and level 1 intermittent. And level 1 constant are people who are essential employees who have to leave their house and have to come to a designated location. So like our Caroline folks and our facility folks who are already the essential employees that were already a part of that designation have to come in to do that. Our level 1 intermittent are people who may be doing telework but may be called in to do specific tasks. Those are folks that may be asked to respond into the community or come into a central or area office to be able to perform their functions. The difference between level 1 and level 2 are that level 2 employees will not be leaving their house per se during this time period. And again, these levels were designed specifically around the COVID situation that we're in and will be reevaluated as we progress through this. So the level 2 designations, level 2A has to do with people who have been assigned state equipment. And those are people who have work to do from a telework, an approved adjusted telework schedule with state equipment assigned to them. The second level of the 2 essential employees are people who have their own devices and are able to log into our secure network by what they have already available to them at home. But again, doing your work from home. And that means also if you were able to take some things home to be able to work on a particular task or project. The last would be level 2C, and that's our non-essential designation, which means no equipment, no connectivity, and no work that can be done from a remote location. So we would expect that in these times in which we really need essential functions to be performed by essential businesses, as we are, the majority of our staff are in the level 1, that you need to leave home at some point to do your work, or the level 2, that you can be doing work from your home location. So I just want to make sure that that is clear for everyone as we step into the COVID situational environment to change designations. Last week I had an opportunity, or this week, to talk to the leaders of the 8 different labor unions that represent staff at DCF. So continue to funnel concerns or questions that you may have, and we will continue the labor management conversations to ensure that we address everyone's needs. You know, there are going to be things that we will not be able to do because of the constraints of particular contracts or the constraints that we find ourselves under, but we are making every effort to try to adhere from all the different functions that DCF provides. So I also want to make sure that you know that with that 71% teleworking, that there were close to 1,900 pieces of equipment that have been deployed. This week alone, there were 600 tablets that were activated, and there was one of the most comprehensive social distancing policies that I've ever seen kind of put in place to try to ensure everyone's safety as we stepped into getting all the tablets out to people. The Academy for Workforce Development, along with engineering and with our fabulous IT department, have been working tirelessly around the clock to make sure people get and stay connected. Stay tuned for one of the newsletters that'll include information on how do you contact someone if you're having trouble in the virtual world of staying connected. And by the way, as I talk about the newsletter, our External Affairs Department has done a great job at keeping you connected. So if you haven't been looking at the daily newsletters, if you haven't had a chance to take a look at the COVID-19 mailbox, or if you haven't looked at our DCF website anytime soon, look at that, because that's where we're keeping all of our information that'll be helpful to not only our staff, but to the public at large. So click into the DCF website and to the COVID-19 banner where you'll see certain themes and questions that are coming in either from the outside or from our staff. And that's an excellent way to have our resources at the tip of our fingers. The other thing that happened this week that I know kind of rattled you, because it rattled us, is that we had 4 of our own staff test positive within 4 days. As you can see, as the community transmissions of COVID-19 grow, the opportunities for testing have become available, which means that more and more people will test positive. This is an aggressive virus that really has no limits. In this particular environment that we're living in right now, our 4 staff came from 4 different areas of the state. A couple of them were from area offices, and we had one from one of our facilities. And so it's giving us an opportunity to really be consistent with the way we approach exposure and potential exposure to our staff, to our families, and to the communities. What we want to make sure is that you are safe, but we also want to make sure that we are not contributing to community transmission as well by moving from home to home. So I think that as the positive tests continue to come back for our staff, we have a system in place to be able to determine the impact to our workforce at large. The other thing that I've heard of is staff wanting to come in and wanting to see families and feeling like they can't do that in this environment. You know, sometimes if we wake up and we have a sniffle, or if we have a stomach ache, or whatever our ailment is, you push through. We do that. That's the work that we do and we've always done. And you just you tough it out and come to work. That's not the environment that we're in right now. If you don't feel well, don't come to work and see your medical provider if those symptoms persist. If there is an opportunity for you to be able to see your medical provider and they are expressing to you that you need to be out of work, make sure you get a doctor's note so HR knows exactly how to code, or you know exactly how to code your absence, and payroll and HR can be in lockstep with each other to ensure that you're adhering to the expectations that your medical provider has put forth. The other thing that we have been doing a lot of this week is hearing from staff related to our cleaning processes. Because we had 4 staff members test positive, we have sent out communications with you. And again, our external affairs people have been working nonstop to make sure that we keep you informed, that we stay communicating with you, and we are transparent about what we're doing. And one of the things related to cleaning, we're getting a lot of questions about, well, I came back into my office and it doesn't appear that it was deep cleaned. So we realized we had to check our own language, and we had to get some guidance from engineering about the type of cleaning that's occurring. So one of the things that we got clarity on is that our chief engineer, John McCarthy, is one of the best that there is in terms of institutional cleaning, because he comes from a background that had to ensure certain standards were met in industrial settings. And so when you think about deep cleaning, the term deep cleaning, think about like steam cleaning a rug. That's the kind of deep cleaning that some people were assuming that we were getting. That's not helpful in the environment that we're in right now. All 17 of our locations had this additional what they call terminal cleaning. And terminal cleaning is, again, what we use in institutions as a standard for killing germs. And it's important for us to know the difference between deep cleaning and terminal cleaning. That terminal cleaning, which is institutional for killing germs, means wiping down surfaces and in some cases using a fogger to kill germs. Now, why that's important is that as we're doing this cleaning, we recognize that some people had to leave their work locations abruptly, and so there were things that were left on desks. So one of the things that we want to make sure happens as a result of the accommodations that we've had to make during COVID is that we change some of our habits. And some of our habits within DCF mean that we have a lot of stuff around. Let's try to use this opportunity once we're back into our physical spaces to kind of reduce the amount of papers that we're using and reduce the amount of things that we've accumulated in our workspace. Because when instances like this happen, when we have to do the terminal cleaning, it may not appear as though certain surfaces were adjusted unless you see some of the papers moved around. So let's get in the habit of trying to declutter our workspaces. I've heard some great stories out there. I've heard some great stories of collaboration between work groups, collaboration between you and external entities like our law enforcement partners, like our providers, like our courts that are still trying to get things done, because in the midst of this environment, the work still happens. Like this week we had a couple of fatalities, and as we sort out just kind of what's happening in those situations, we recognize that, you know, in a COVID world, our work is still happening, and we want to make sure that we can continue to support our staff as they experience those things on their caseload. I've heard some people doing some really great work out there, and we want to continue to support you. I also want to make sure that we are creating our own narrative. So you'll start to see some media outlets picking up on the messages that we're putting out there. Some people put their own spin on it. We can't control that. But I will tell you that every time we have an opportunity to get out there and tell our story, we are telling it our way. We are allowing the stories that you're sharing with us to be able to be part of the larger conversation about child welfare and how we do this in this current climate. Deputy Commissioner Williams was on iHeartRadio and did a radio piece for us. I did an interview with The Current and Connecticut News Junkie and The Day this week to be able to talk to reporters to really help them understand and be empathetic to the plight of balancing the support of our staff with meeting our mission critical mandate. So the more we can get those stories of how you are adapting your work and even what the challenges are. You know, I tend to be an optimistic person, but I know that there's some challenges in doing our work in this environment. Let us know what those are. Shoot those up through your chain of command. The leadership of the department are meeting every day. I have a Microsoft Team conference call with all of the leaders of the department daily, and then they have it with their leadership in the respective areas of the department to make sure that we're hearing what the concerns are that you have, but also sharing with us some positives as we adapt to this changing world that we're in right now. We've had collective calls, as I mentioned before, with some of our labor union leaders this week. We had a call with a bunch of legislators who had some questions that were being bubbled up by their constituents. And we've had lots of separate conversations and conference calls with many of the advocates that are out there related to specific cohorts of kids that we serve. Understand this, that the work of the area offices, the work of the divisions of DCF, and the work at our facilities is top notch. You guys, when we compare ourselves to other jurisdictions, you know, particularly some of those that are farther ahead of us in the COVID timeline, I recognize that all of these things have been asked of you to shift in the way you do business and to think about your own health and safety. But I can tell you that in Connecticut, we're prepared. We're prepared in such a way that I can stand proud and just talk very freely about what I know we've done to make sure that it's all we can in every way possible, make sure that you're safe and that our kids and families are safe. Am I scared? Am I anxious? Of course we are, because I am human just as you are. But there's 3,200 of us, and if I can continue to lead the work that I do, with all 3,200 of you in mind, as well as the 14,000 families that we can work with on any given day, you know that I'm leading with our purpose, and our purpose remains the same. Thanks, and we'll talk again next week.